now Kick. We're getting this YouTube thing going, and we are on Twitch. So I'm here a little bit early because early bird gets the worm, or in this case, other yellow hat guy gets the Nintendo Direct feed going and working properly, and other yellow hat guy gets I don't know, the Triforce. So what I got to do real quick is make sure I'm live streaming on Facebook. Just because the button says that we're feeding a signal doesn't mean we're actually doing it. So there we go. We got it there. I need to jump back to this feed here. Okay, now we're all good. Kick, for whatever reason, has this whole reconnecting and literally just kicks you off. So what I'm going to do while we're waiting here is maybe play something else. It's literally 30 minutes away. So I thought, hey, yes, you've got certain things visible and what have you. But what I really wanted to do was maybe jump into some video games. Now, what I'm going to actually play, I don't know. I thought we'd jump into some Mario Maker for 30 minutes or so for Facebook. But then I thought, oh, maybe I don't want to do that. Okay, so they got this whole thing showing you Treehouse. I gotta make sure, is this muted? It is muted. Because y'all wouldn't be able to hear what they're saying when they're saying it. So Kick is working right now. I don't really use that, but it is working at this time. So maybe we leave that muted and come back. I haven't really decided yet. I think I'm going to leave that muted and come back. Let's see, do I have comments showing? Okay, looks like we do have that. For whatever reason, it has YouTube twice there. Okay. YouTube got it. The Discord and Kick did not get it. So I have to figure all that out. Like, what's up with those plugins, why they're not going to I gotta figure out why they're not going directly into Discord like they're supposed to. Might not be playing any video games at all. It may be something that I just have to play with a little bit later on. So I don't know if I want to watch it on PC with y'all or watch it on the big screen. get that volume down a little bit lower so that I'm a little bit louder than it. I figured 10 might be good, maybe. Maybe we spruce it down to that. Not sure what all that clicking and what have you is. Is that Nintendo? It's definitely not on my own. It's probably Nintendo, so let's see what we got here. It's like I don't see anything that I'm wanting. I wanted to just jump in and see what these new games are. That alert was probably reminding me, like, hey, 30 minutes until this Nintendo Direct. So I'm downloading the N64 stuff in the background. Alright, so while this is going on, I think what I'm going to do is pause it and switch to something else. Let's see here, if I do this, that does take that out of the background. Let's get that Nintendo stuff muted for right now. And really what I wanted is to get these games going. So we won't be playing any Switch 2 things for the moment. But we'll come back to that. And that's the thing, you know, you get so many video games, you're like, what do I actually want to play? It don't actually know. Can't go wrong with Mario 3 though. Okay, so here we've got Mario 3 up. And we'll play this for, I don't know, a few minutes, I guess. Literally a few minutes. I'm getting all these emails, man. It's like the world collectively said, hey, this Tuesday is going to be slam packed with a whole bunch of randomness. And I'm like, it's just a random Tuesday, or at least it should be a random Tuesday. So if I screw up, y'all make sure y'all alert me and say, hey man, you need to be switching back to the Nintendo Direct. Alright, so let's jump into it. RetroArch is pretty large in sound on this. I don't know why it needs to be that large in sound. It just is though. So I've got to constantly tweak that and make sure that they're playing that smoothly. Because the last little test video I did, I was like, oh, the game is is it still the B button to confirm here? Oh, it's that same ridiculousness. I've got to change this in my settings. I need B to be A and A to be B and all of that. Yeah, it's super annoying. I'm going to have to change that now. Controls. I need that control that changed. So I want this. It's gonna mess this up. It's gonna mess this up if I pull this up, y'all. Let me move this down. I can actually cycle through this though. So there we go. We got that to be A instead of I still want that to be Y. But it really doesn't want to do anything. It's got this select stuff up. Ugh. So let's see if I can reset this. It won't reset. And this is why you don't put these things on the fly here. Because the controller just ends up messing up like that. But it's doing that whole thing where it's like B is A is B stuff. You see Y is that turbo B. I never wanted it to do that. I simply want to run. And I have no option to really run. Alright, so we're going to switch it back. Because I'm just going to be enduring all kinds of petty little deaths if I can't get it going. Again, I apologize, y'all. I thought I could change the controller on the fly. Evidently, I cannot. So we'll put something up in the background here, and maybe I can tweak through this. I'm guessing that was a Discord noise. I'm getting used to how a lot of this stuff sounds. Definitely was. Good morning. So let's move it back to this. And maybe for a few minutes I can get this Mario stuff working. Alright. So we got RetroArch pulled back up, but the controls are just not what I need them to be. So let's try to change those right now. I should have been messing with this from the beginning. Okay. So the B button needs to be... Oh, I didn't change anything. Let's try this again. B, Y, select. And some of this is already the way it was supposed to be. It has everything set up for auto stuff in here. That's super weird. There we go. 5, 5 plus 4, 4 plus. And I hate that I'm having to go in here and mess with controllers. But you know what? Not having to change stuff on here means that certain things are better without having to come in here and tinker with stuff. So if you say the B button is back, Let's see what we got here. About 10 minutes of Mario we can... 10 minutes of Mario we can play. Let me see if it's different this time. It might be the exact same, y'all. Looks like it's still A. Yeah, not a fan of this. Why is that turbo down? See, he's supposed to be running. Okay, there we go. There's that. But the way that I have to hold this controller, just weird like this, that's just not comfortable. I would much rather prefer B be the Y button and B be the A button. That's not what we got going on. So hey, it's better than having none, I suppose. Yeah, I just never thought the Mario games on here would be the ones that are just not accurate with the controls. And it might just be my controller, you know. I don't want to blame controllers on everything. Because we tried to play the definitive version of Mario 3, the GBA version, Super Mario Advance 4. Trying to get that going on the live stream test. And while that went okay, the controls had me playing so poorly. Alright. But I do miss the voices. You hear the Martin, just what I needed, and stuff like that. Oh, come on. Didn't need the star. Just wanted it. Alright, how are we looking on time? I should have had a timer or something up there. When you hold the B button, it just keeps changing back to trying to use items in your inventory. Definitely not what I was looking to do. For those of you looking for the direct, we are going to be doing that in a little bit. Just give me a few minutes to just... Oh, he comes back. I didn't realize that turtle comes back over there. That was a fail. Let's run that back though. I was just trying to get the secret that's in here. Is it really a secret though? For a lot of us that remember this, for some of us babies, not really a secret at all. Like, you just weren't paying attention if you don't know this one right here. But who am I to judge? Maybe this is your first time playing Mario or watching somebody play Mario. I don't like that scan line over to the left. Oh, how do you miss that? Go back. It should have been stars, baby. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Stars. They gave me a lot for that. Okay, let's switch back over. 9:53 a.m. I forgot I can look at my Switch. Switch 2 and see what the time is. We got about 7 minutes before this thing kicks off. Let me know in the comments what you think Nintendo is going to show off today. I'm all in on this Ocarina of Time remake. It can't even be a remaster. It has to be a remake. They've got to have new stages. Oh, this is a fail. It was like all 3 different ones too. But yeah, they gotta have that. They gotta have like new areas to explore. It can't just be like the same cut and paste game. I'll still buy that, but knowing Nintendo, it's probably not going to be like $50. If the Mario collection in 4K, you know, the twin pack, Galaxy and Galaxy 1 and 2, excuse me. Those were 70. Oh my gosh, are you serious? I got hit there. I just really wanted to show off the whistle. Well, no whistle this video. Let's just go ahead and go through this. We've got literally 5 minutes anyway. But yeah, they've got to show more content. They can't just show me the same stuff from 30 years ago. I think, yeah, Ocarina of Time was at 98. So getting close to 30 years of that. And down goes Fraser. People are asking, oh, are you trolling? No, we're going to show the Nintendo Direct. If you were here at the beginning of the stream, you would see that I got it set up in the background. I'm just not going to sit here and watch their little screensaver until it's ready. I got to figure out how to do that for myself. I think, it's just a simple scene that they have planned, right? Oh my goodness, simple scene they got planned. At the beginning of the video, it starts in like 5 minutes, and then this isn't live. Nintendo's not live, but this is a recording that was already uploaded to YouTube. Probably their Nintendo Today app. Says, hey, 5 minutes before it starts. We've got it already, like, hey, they're telling you at 10 it starts, but it's really like, I don't know, 9:30 that it started. And then at 10, they got it synced to where the presentation's got the people coming in and what have you. So, there's a little fear here playing it on this screen. It's like, am I going to land on the platform? What's happening? And Mario 3 is one of these games where I'm like, hey, I shouldn't have to use save states. So that's what's frustrating when you've got this controller that's not synced up comfortably for you. At 2 minutes. Okay, we got a mushroom. Let's actually just use that. Why would you not? Actually, I'll do this too. Usually, like, over here in the corners is where I go. So you see that star? We at least got that. What's over here? Mushroom? Okay, 3 stars and a mushroom. Okay, so we're gonna get off of this. I'm told that we've got to get off of the screen here and get back to the desktop for this Nintendo Direct. So let's do that. Let's get the sound going. "30 seconds. Can I just full screen this? Three, two, one. I want that volume up just a little bit more. Oh, it's already maxed out. Yes, it's 10 a.m. Flower, be quiet.
Hello, everyone. I'm Yoshiaki Koizumi, and I'll be your guide for today's Nintendo Direct.
早速ですが
Don't pause.
First, here's a game that's coming to the Nintendo Switch system. Please, take a look at this.
Hello. Beep. My name is Lowell Miss Reeds, and I'm known for my reading aloud skills and more. Beep. I'm here today to help show you the Rhythm Heaven Groove game. Beep.
So we got Rhythm Heaven Groove.
Rhythm Heaven Groove.
Well, at least they started out with that. We know Zelda's gonna be last.
Playing this game is pretty simple. Just get into the groove and press the correct button. That's all there is to it. But it's not always the same rhythm.
I know some
Listen
people are like,
carefully to
oh,
the beat.
WarioWare.
Find your flow, and you'll be able to feel the rhythm.
This ain't that.
2, 3, 4, now.
This chair comes
2, 3, now. 2, now. 2, 3, now.
2, 3, now.
Over 80 all-new rhythm games are included. And as you play through the game, you can unlock different modes. For example,
The kingdom's everlasting peace rests on your shoulders.
See these comments
Finally,
here, though.
you're awake.
go forth, magician,
I can't lose.
and use the magical power of rhythm to beat monsters. Cast a fire spell with B.A. B.A. And a healing spell with B down A. B down A. Like that.
So you really want to fight, huh?
What spells will strike a chord against the foes you face? Groove on and tip the scales to victory.
It's
Yes,
time
we
for
are
the
rocking
Who's Got
the Warrior
Rhythm
shirt.
quiz show.
Plus, there are even more rhythm games in the lineup. Enjoy all of this while playing
Almost
solo.
like supporting a sports team at
And-
this point.
Dan, Emily, Leo, Sarah,
Oh, they got a Leo in there.
we're under attack. Beep.
Up to 4 players can enjoy dedicated rhythm games. Note the timing and block the arrows.
Grab the snack at exactly 3 o'clock. Beep.
Or aim for 3
Yeah, this
o'clock
is
on the dot.
WarioWare to me, but you know, it's its own.
Emily got the snack.
So for you people who are like, hey, this is a WarioWare
There are
game.
over 30 cooperative and
Not
competitive
exactly.
games to play.
They just need
Get
to
into
leave
the
it
groove
Rhythm Heaven
solo
and then put Wario
Or with
in.
friends when Rhythm Heaven Groove hits the Nintendo Switch system July 2nd. Pre-orders are available now on Nintendo eShop.
That was Rhythm Heaven Groove for Nintendo Switch.
任天堂スイッチのタイトルですね。
You'll also be able to play it on the Nintendo Switch 2 system.
プレイいただけます。
Please wait just a little longer for its release.
ここから
From here, we'll introduce games coming to Nintendo Switch 2, including some games that will also be available on Nintendo Switch. Let's begin with some headlines.
Master the way of the sword.
Is that Onimusha?
Let's see your best, Sene.
Onimusha, Way of the Sword, a new entry in the sword play action series, is slashing onto Nintendo Switch 2. Edo-era Kyoto has been overrun by monsters known as Genma. Now, Miyamoto Musashi must prove himself beyond measure. Parry. Deflect. And the powerful counterattack Isen. Master these techniques to strike down the enemies in your path. Oni armaments are also at your disposal to turn the tides of battle. You can even use Joy-Con 2 motion controls to intuitively slay Genma. As fates intertwine, will you cut down those that stand in your way? Onimusha, Way of the Sword, launches on Nintendo Switch 2, September 25th. Pre-orders begin later today on Nintendo eShop. Your unwritten epic begins. Dragon's Dogma 2, Dark Arisen is heading to Nintendo Switch 2. You are the Arisen, a hero burdened with the fate of slaying the dragon who has taken your heart. In this expanded version of Dragon's Dogma 2, explore the new land of Norgan, seek out spoils, then appraise them to reveal new weapons, armor, or skills. With these arms at the ready, take down powerful monsters in this single-player action RPG adventure. From a fighter specializing in close-range combat to a
Sorry about that.
mage
They've got
skilled in
that
spell
video there at the
casting,
bottom.
choose the
Nintendo
vocation
was
that
like,
fits your playstyle.
Yo,
Plus, you can
we
lead
know
up to
people
3
are
pawns,
doing
custom
these live
companions
reactions.
who act on their
They
own.
wanna put their
When
little ads
taking
and
on
everything.
massive monsters,
I
you
get
can
it.
climb
They
them
wanna
to
get
strike their weak
$40.
points. Fighting alongside your pawns is key to victory.
I don't need to
In
see
a
all
world
that.
between dark and light, embark on an adventure and tell a tale all your own. What fate awaits the Arisen and their pawns? Dragon's Dogma 2, Dark Arisen, launches on Nintendo
Tell
Switch
us
2,
why.
October 9th.
Because I'm live streaming.
Otherworldly endeavors await in these games. Earth has been driven to the brink of annihilation by mysterious life forms called the Nativa.
Stellar Blade?
Now, join Eve on her mission to save humanity and reclaim the planet. Engage in high-speed combat that focuses on timing. Then find your opening and strike. Defeat enemies to acquire new skills. Then strategically deploy them to fit the situation. Can you save
not
humanity
expecting this
and
on
reclaim Earth for humankind? Stellar Blade launches on Nintendo Switch 2 this year.
It just says this year. Now, I was considering
Blast
getting that on
off in the
PlayStation.
2-player co-op adventure Orbitals.
I need to know what the
Protect
rating
your home in an expedition across the galaxy. There are many interstellar areas to explore. Melt ice to make a path. Activate devices in time with the beat. Escape from incoming enemies and more. Brave the dangers ahead in your voyage through the stars. 2 players can also work together locally or online using GameShare. Work together and overcome the crisis of the cosmos. Orbitals launches exclusively on the Nintendo Switch 2 system September 3rd. Pre-orders begin later today on
I
Nintendo
think I've
eShop.
seen
Journey through the
tidbits.
glade of
Okay,
dreams in this
Rayman
bold
is here.
reimagining of Rayman Legends.
Rayman.
When a
I
shadowy
think I've
villain
seen tidbits
starts
of that
spreading
before.
corruption, it's up to Rayman and his
I don't remember
friends to
where.
leap, glide, and punch their way through
Could be
charming and
multi-system.
colorful worlds. Ride dragons across realms. Dive into 4 new musical stages. And enjoy more added content.
MC Hammer?
Up to 4 players can go out on a limb in local co-op. You can also play a revamped version of Kung Fu using game share locally or online. Rayman Legends Retold launches on
October
Nintendo
1st.
Switch 2, October 1st.
Is that day
It's
and
a
date
great
for
day
PlayStation?
for a big walk. Get lost with friends in this online co-op walking and talking adventure. Set off through a peaceful world, brimming with challenges, puzzles, and lots of
is this not
things to
indie?
discover.
Go walking with your friends.
Enjoy the sights and sounds as you work together to find your
I'm
way
not gonna
around.
say this is a bad concept.
Use all sorts of tools to stay in touch
I literally go walking with my friends outside.
and figure out new methods of communicating if you're in a pickle.
Thank you.
They might even be a little unconventional.
Goofy, like,
And if you're not
This is gonna be
quite
enough.
up to
This should
adventuring,
have been an indie
you can always just
Who makes this
relax
game?
with your pals.
That's really
Enjoy
hard.
the sunset, dance the night away, or steal something from a friend and kick it into the ocean. You know, the usual stuff. You can also use mouse controls or hang out with friends using cross-platform play. After all, spending quality time
Nintendo's
together
really all
is the
in
best
with
part of
mouse
a
controls.
big walk. Strolling onto Nintendo Switch 2, August 4th.
Problem is, it feels gimmicky.
Season the seas.
It's like a cooking mod. What is this?
Build your very own
One
floating
piece,
restaurant with the
random
Straw Hat crew.
I should have had a drink.
Cook up recipes with Sanji. Craft the menu. Decorate it to your liking. Then serve your customers as you run the restaurant. By searching for and collecting ingredients, you'll expand your menu offerings. Use devil fruit abilities to prepare piping hot steaks. Or whip up tongue-tingling tauntaun noodles. You can make all sorts of delicious dishes. Spend in-game money to change up the restaurant's interior and expand it to attract even more customers. Over 400 characters from the One Piece series will appear.
Wow.
Mouse
okay.
controls are also supported on Nintendo Switch
I'd
2.
love to tell you the mouse controls are in there.
Get ready for a feast of epic proportions in One Piece Grand Gourmet. Sailing onto the Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch systems
It's gonna be a
October
no for me,
23rd.
but hey. It's there. Oh, Pokopia. Some DLC. Probably coming out in 2027. I can barely hear you. Yeah, I don't know why you can't hear me like you want to.
Keep adventuring in Pokemon Pokopia, even beneath the sea. Explore the world on the ocean floor with a free update. By using the new move Dive, you can
Yeah,
enjoy
is the
life with
mic
Pokemon
loud
living
enough?
under the
Are
sea.
you hearing the sound? No, the wrong is yeah.
Plant grass, build structures, and expand your towns
Say, the mic should
underwater.
be Good.
This free update is scheduled to release in August 2026. And there's more! The Pokemon Pokopia Expansion Pass paid DLC is on the way. Discover a brand new town, Bubbly Basin. There you'll find new furniture, new outfits, and new friends. The Pokemon Pokopia Expansion
snap!
Pass paid DLC will be
Yes!
available later today on Nintendo eShop.
Yes.
Part
Oh,
1 of the paid DLC, Bubbly Basin, launches this August. Part 2 and Part 3 will launch at a later date. Look out for more
okay,
details
I got
in
my
the
wallet
future.
ready, fam. My wallet is somewhere. We are getting that. Oh shoot. Okay, so what's this right here? And that's coming out August.
無料アプリ
We hope you're looking forward to more content for Pokemon Pokopia via a free
Did it
update and
tease like
paid
another
DLC.
Pokemon at the end?
新しい
Next, please take a look at this.
Yes, fam. If you have
This
Pokopia,
is the Dagdan Empire,
let me
a
know.
prosperous land ruled by the gods. The capital, Daxian, plays host to the heroic games,
might have to
the winner of which is granted one wish.
jump on my feed here.
Powerful
and I
fighters from across the land have
play
gathered
that
to
as
participate.
you want the channel, so. Okay, so we saw Fortune's Weave already.
The story revolves around 4 heroes. Kai,
closer
a young
at
boy
something?
determined to win the
Feels like
games
a
to
closer
save his
than last
imprisoned father. Dietrich, a swordsman ever on the hunt for a stronger foe. Theodora, a queen seeking to fulfill the long-held dream of her homeland.
Now, don't get me wrong,
And
this
Lita,
looks great. I
a
love the
musician
animation,
with her
but
sights set on revenge.
Probably not getting
Guide whichever
this
character
if I
you
get it
choose
wrong.
to victory as they weave their own unique tale.
to me, Blade.
Between matches, you
Play
can
through a
strengthen
little
your
bit,
forces
see
in
if
different
it's
ways. Hone your techniques at the training grounds.
I'm figuring it out.
Recruit new allies. Or travel beyond Daxian's walls to gain experience. How you spend your free time is up to you. Combat takes the form of turn-based tactical battles. Consider your weapon's range and your unit's strengths on the
Yeah, see, all of
battlefield.
that looks good, but
Plus, each of the 4 main characters comes with their own special techniques. By using these techniques to the fullest, you might turn the tide of battle.
Mic so y'all can hear me louder in case for whatever reason it's not.
Rejoice with me at the advent of the underworld.
Advent of the underworld.
You look upon the promised one, who will
Mic is a
route
little
you
bit
here
louder there.
and guide the living to salvation.
How did it feel?
To upheave the world. Begone from us, the darkest.
Fortune's Weave. Okay. Is there a release date? September. That's the September game right there.
Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave launches September 17th. Alongside the standard edition, there will be a
looks like,
special
yeah,
edition,
Star Fox,
the Fire Emblem Fortune's
this
Weave
month and
Dagdan
this month.
Collection, that launches
In
the same
July,
day.
we saw-
Please look forward to it.
They got something they want to drop there.
Let's continue with some
Rhythm
more
Heaven.
headlines.
And then from Rhythm Heaven to Pokopia DLC.
Welcome to the next level of
September
ninja
is that
battles.
Fire Emblem. October, Stellar Blade.
The first part of Ninja 2 is sneaking onto Nintendo Switch 2.
Ninja 2. I remember there was a Ninja 1.
After accidentally breaking a forbidden seal, you're stranded on an uncharted planet. Overcome the dangers lurking here to safely return to Earth in this open-world action adventure. Use Ninja Gum to freely traverse this vast world in search of clues to get back home. You can also blow a bubble to float in the air. Defeat enemies blocking your path with
And I'm
weapons
glad they
crafted
said
from Ninja
Ninja
Gum.
I was calling it Ninja.
You can even summon buddies with Gum Ninjutsu to unleash powerful attacks. Additionally, up to 4 ninja can team up in local or online multiplayer to chew through tough battles. The first part of Ninja 2, The Uncharted Planet, launches exclusively on the Nintendo Switch 2 system next spring. The DK Challenge barrels in. Coming to Nintendo Switch Online on Nintendo Switch 2, the limited time DK Challenge event. Take on challenges across many Donkey Kong games available with Nintendo Classics.
Okay.
By completing them, you can earn and enjoy collectible digital challenge cards. And if you have Donkey Kong Bonanza, you can attempt even more challenges.
So Bonanza, yeah.
Try out ones geared for beginners. Or take on developer challenges for something with a bit more punch. Rediscover Donkey Kong games, play challenges, and complete your card collection. DK Challenge can be accessed via the Nintendo Switch online app on the home menu of your Nintendo Switch 2. You'll be able to barrel through these limited time challenges starting later today.
Okay.
Plus, in the Donkey Kong Bonanza, DK Island and Emerald Rush paid DLC, a limited time collaboration with Super Mario Bros. Is breaking through.
Oh, wow.
Enjoy outfits for
snap.
DK and Pauline, inspired by Mario and Luigi. Plus, there are coins, super mushrooms, question blocks, and more.
For a second, I thought that was
Experience
Luigi on the
Emerald
back.
Rush as you've never seen it before with a Super Mario Bros. Twist. This limited time collaboration event will be held in 4 waves, with the first wave beginning later today.
Not really. Just give me the 3D Mario.
From the creators of Vampire Survivors.
So far, Stellar Blade and
The latest
Utopia
game from the makers of
DLC are
Vampire Survivors, Jujutsu Kaisen Rumble Survivathon, casts a spell onto Nintendo Switch 2. Up to 8 players can compete online for the top spot in this Survivors Royale.
Right, it's 10,
At
21.
the start of a match, players
About
don't
halfway
battle
there,
directly.
and Nintendo
Instead,
isn't really
take
showing
down
me.
enemies on your own map to earn points.
This should have been over the
Each
top.
time you earn 100 points,
So far,
you can add a rule
okay.
to your run, including ones that hinder
Like
other
a
players.
normal direct.
The match culminates in a head-to-head
above
final
that.
battle
Your
between
first
the top
direct.
2 players.
Where
Who will be
you're
the final survivor?
convincing people, hey, get a Switch too.
More than 20 characters from the
year in.
Jujutsu
And
Kaisen
also,
series appear. Characters can be
get a
unlocked
Switch 2
just
before
by
you
playing.
raise the price.
Battle online with
Console
players
September.
near and far, or go it alone against computer-controlled opponents. Exorcise curses, dominate rivals, and rise to the top. Jujutsu Kaisen Rumble Survivathon launches on Nintendo Switch 2 this year.
That's a no for me.
Are you up for the challenge in these games? Brutal, unforgiving battles storm onto Nintendo Switch 2. In a forsaken world, a looming darkness devours all in its path. Now,
Looks like some
only
kind of
one
Elden Ring
kingdom
type thing.
endures. Defy the will of the gods to save what remains of humanity. Master brutal melee combat, devastating sorceries, and lethal ranged attacks. Test your mettle against towering abominations on your journey across the realms of the living and the dead. A hero must rise for a god to fall. Lords
I've
of
got
the
that,
Fallen 2 launches on Nintendo
Talking
Switch
flower.
2 this
You
fall.
might be able to hear it in the background.
Enter a darkly elegant world based on the story of
Is this
Pinocchio
Dustblood?
in Lies of P.
No, Lies of P. Okay.
In
That
a
looks
city
really
under
good.
siege, you must fight rampaging mechanical puppets and seek the cause of this upheaval while confronting your own humanity. Take on enemies using customizable weapons and prosthetic
This
arms
game
that
actually
allow
looks
you to
really
swap
good.
between different abilities. But know this, the lies
I think
you
it's on
tell
other consoles,
will
too.
alter your fate. Lies of P Complete Edition, which includes Overture, a prequel expansion to the main game, launches on the Nintendo Switch 2 system August 6th. Pre-orders
have to look for
begin
that.
later today on
It's on
Nintendo
PS5
eShop.
or something. I might have to check that out before.
The
entertaining.
most recent entry in the legendary Devil May
Devil
Cry
May Cry,
series
okay.
is slashing its way
Old,
onto
I have
Nintendo
it.
Switch 2.
I literally have it.
Play as Nero, Dante,
Somewhere
V,
next to
and
me
Virgil,
on this wall.
each armed with different battle styles, as you fight off hordes of
Another way
demons
to
and
play it.
epic bosses. Pull off stylish attacks, dodges, and combos with your vast arsenal of weapons and skills. Enjoy thrilling, high-octane combat at 60 frames per second in both TV mode and handheld mode. Plus, additional content such as battle tracks, character colors, and Devil Breaker weapons for Nero are included.
I wonder what they're called.
Devil May Cry 5 Devil Hunter Edition launches on Nintendo Switch 2, June 23rd. Pre-orders begin later today on Nintendo eShop.
Enter a mystical era deep in Japan's past. 6 souls determined to forge their
Capcom
own
not wasting any time, Sam. Look,
So you're looking for
all
some
of our
runaway
stuff
ninja
that
named
was
Keisuke.
on
Still
PS4,
have some unfinished business
we're
in
gonna
this
make sure
world.
that it's on.
I shall make him pay.
Let's show him we farmers have spirit.
You've sentenced me to die 7 days from now?
I'd start repenting if I were you.
An action RPG
I feel like they have
for
the
the
trilogy
ages.
on
What fate awaits those who
Switch,
wield the
as
demon
well
blades?
as I don't know if they have Devil May Cry
Muramasa, Revenant
on
Blades.
Switch. Maybe they do since they couldn't find it.
Nintendo Switch 2 editions of these 3 Xenoblade Chronicles games are incoming. All 3 games run at 60 frames per second with 4K resolution in TV mode or Full HD in handheld mode.
Wow.
In-game cutscenes also have enhanced resolution and frame rate. Not only that, but you can travel on a high-speed vehicle in the first game. Control blades to fight mercenary squad battles in the second. And put your strength to the test against waves of enemies in the third.
So is this a collection
There's
pack,
also
or
a
is this all
variety
three
of other
individual?
content added to each of the 3 games. More details will be revealed at a later date. The
Probably.
digital version of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, and the Upgrade Pack will be available later today. The physical version launches on July 30th. The Nintendo Switch 2 editions of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 will be available on the dates shown on screen.
Wow, that's all this year. That's a
3
clap for that.
Xenoblade Chronicles games are getting Nintendo Switch 2 editions. New features will be added to each title, so we hope you'll check them out. And a new story in the Xenoblade series is about to begin. Here are some early moments from the game.
アニマは世界の源であった水も火も風も世界を構成するそのすべては大地を流れるアニマが形を変えたものだったそして戦いを決するのはいつもアニマとその力を自在に振るう騎士だ
この剣の名に恥じぬよう精進します。ここがリューコス。
その石はアニマ硝石。騎士の力を増幅させるだけでなく、そのものの行動や思いも刻みます。これからのあなたの学院生活のすべてがその石と共にあると思ってください。
今日の訓練は実戦を想定してのものだ。
力の使い方、なんとなく分かった気がする。
死って人殺しの職業だ。奪われた側はどう思うんだろうな。
真実見つけてみない？
信仰を失った人の魂をドラゴンの炎で浄化することで罪が贖われる。
田舎貴族の限界を教えてあげる。
あいつ使えるぜ。硝石なしで騎士の力。
生と死すべてはアニマと共にあ
帰るのさ、あの場所に。
さあ始まるわよ。
兄上行ってまいります。
ここは6つの太陽に照らし出された大地。そこで人々は知ることになる。破れた神の恨みが未だ晴らされてはいないこと。
Okay, that's pretty cool. Xenoblade Genesis. Release date? 2027. Okay, so they'll give you all of these this year. And then
Xenoblade Genesis marks a new beginning. What kind of story do you think will be told? Please look forward to future updates. Next, please take a look at this.
Looks like he's simulating.
Welcome to Woohoo Island, home to all
Sports
kinds
Resort.
of sports. Coming to Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo Switch Sports Resort, the latest game in the series. Use the Joy-Con 2 controllers as rackets, bows,
I see these games and say, yeah,
or even
and I always
handles.
end up getting them.
There are 12 sports to choose from, all with
Wow.
intuitive motion controls. Let's go over them. Punch, guard, counter, and outmaneuver for the knockout in boxing. Make quick shots to keep your opponent on their toes.
So,
In table tennis, aim
break
for
out
the
your,
center of the
your
target
Wii-
and let
Wii
that
U
arrow
and
fly.
play something.
In archery,
I guess
enjoy rallies with different types of shots in tennis.
Nintendo Switch version of those games.
Bump, set, and spike in volleyball. Roll the ball straight or give it a spin to strike big in bowling. Dribble, pass, and shoot to score in basketball. Adjust your shot's power, then swing your club in golf.
I feel like golf
Battle
was
with
on
one
the
thumb to
update
hand your
on
opponent a defeat in thumb wrestling.
the regular Switch one.
Ride through the course using mouse controls in skateboarding.
That's fun.
Steer with handles and coast along the waves in power cruising. Tilt the controller and fly around freely in prop plane.
That could be
Plus, you can warm up for these sports with jump rope. You can create and play as a sportsmate or me character.
We went through those games relatively quick.
Enjoy playing all kinds of sports on Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo Switch Sports Resort launches exclusively on the Nintendo
October.
Switch 2 system October 22nd. Pre-orders begin later today on Nintendo eShop.
Nintendo Switch Sports Resort is coming to Nintendo Switch 2. We showed all the sports included, but since we have the
Sadly,
opportunity,
yeah, I wish
let's
I
show
would have
you
left
the
some
new
of the
sports.
imagination.
Thumb wrestling.
That did not hype me up.
Before the match, let's go over the rules. Hold down your opponent's thumb for 3 seconds, and you'll win. If yours gets pinned, just shake the controller to break free. And if you keep your thumb held down, it'll get
See, my
bigger
real problem
and
with these
stronger.
games, right, is this. They look cool on the surface, but I feel like
You'll
after
need this to
an
claim
hour,
victory.
maybe less, you're just like, look, I'm over it.
Here's to a great thumb wrestling match. The thumb moves, just like this. Here we go. Let's have a good match.
Okay, so at
Oh,
least they
got him right
showed
away.
us.
Oh, they broke free. All right. Let's try this. Oh, we bumped thumbs. Oh, go, go, go. Hold it. Oh, they broke free again. You have to keep them pinned. Nope. Wait. Whew.
He's really highlighting this thumb wrestling.
I was worried for a second there.
I guess because it's the only new one that
Okay, thumb started
the
to
other
sparkle,
versions of
and the nail got
Resort
bigger.
and Sports don't have.
Hold on a second. That's not how it's supposed to go. It's okay. Everything is fine. My thumb returned to normal. Ooh, it's sparkling again. Now let's try. Oh, I got deflected. Ah, wait a minute. Ah. I lost. Please wait a little longer for Nintendo Switch Sports Resort. Let's move on to more headlines.
Did he say October though? I might have missed it. Where's Luigi's Mansion
Survive
4?
a land ruled by dragons.
Where's 3D Mario? We know
The
Zelda's
world
at
of
the end of this
RuneScape
game.
comes to Nintendo
1034.
Switch 2.
Not sure how
An
long
ancient
their
power
presentation.
has awakened on the
40 minutes,
forgotten
45
continent of Ashenfall.
Let's look it up.
Explore a land infused with magic and uncover lost secrets on your journey to face the Dragon Queen. In this survival crafting adventure, delve into the mysteries of Ashenfall amongst the ruins of fallen civilizations. On your expedition, harness the land's transformative magic to gather resources, craft gear, and build shelter. Then, step into battle, forge weapons, sharpen your skills, and face the danger that awaits. Survive the wilds, unveil lost secrets, and challenge dragons in RuneScape Dragon Wilds, launching on Nintendo Switch 2 September 15th. Get on board for these games. Customize your own avatar and play in the adorable world of Hello Kitty Partyland.
Like, why wasn't this the opener?
Join the party with over 40 character-themed minigames and several board games. There are over 140 Sanrio characters to meet. Plus, you can choose from 16 partner characters, collect stickers, and so much more. Hello Kitty Partyland launches exclusively on Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch October 29th.
Okay.
So let's get down there and finish the job.
Still showing Star Fox. You don't get points for that. Let's get Star Fox and Red.
Blast off for adventure across the Lilac system with Fox McCloud and his crew.
Star Fox.
Well done, Fox.
A battle for the fate of the galaxy begins. Star Fox launches on Nintendo Switch 2, June 25th. A free demo that includes a tutorial and one of the game's opening stages will be available later today.
We will be
on
playing
Nintendo
that
eShop.
later today. Like, comment, subscribe, share.
Hope resonates within the crystals.
Music sounds familiar. Something I've played before.
Get ready for the first Final Fantasy game in HD 2D, Final Fantasy Resonance. This is Lapis, a vast world that has prospered through the power of crystals. But after the invasion of the Veritas, this once thriving world lies on the brink of annihilation. Now Rain, a knight of Grandshelt, must journey across the realm with his companions to stop the Veritas.
I mean, this could be okay.
In thrilling turn-based battles, call upon visions,
shoot, is
iconic
that
Final
Cloud?
Fantasy heroes from other worlds to take down monsters. Can you uncover the truth behind the Veritas and the secrets the crystals hold? Final Fantasy Resonance
22nd. I
launches
might
on the
cop that.
Nintendo Switch
That might be a
2
cop.
and Nintendo Switch systems October 22nd. A weird, whimsical world is waiting.
What the heck is that?
Pikuniku returns in a new 3D puzzle exploration adventure. What do giant fruit, malevolent robot frogs, and an all-powerful potato have in common? Nothing. Other than a shadowy
This right
conspiracy,
here
of course.
might be something I check
Meet a
out when it's on
cavalcade
sale
of
for
curious
like $5.
characters, each with their own
Sorry, not
problems
sorry.
and puzzles to solve. But beneath this seemingly happy world lies a sinister plot to squeeze the locals for all they're worth. Time to join the resistance by using Piku's surprising abilities. Help solve the people's problems in surprising and downright oddball ways. Feeling baffled by these affable denizens? Embrace these strange encounters and bring about an ultimate understanding. And in this sequel, navigate and explore in full 3D as you discover the secrets of this vivid, colorful world. Get ready to wander, solve, and gossip in Piku Niku 2, launching on Nintendo Switch 2 next year.
Okay.
Prepare for an all-new
Yep.
monster-filled adventure. Two girls find themselves lost in the kingdom of Witherwood. There they gain the power to turn monsters into friends. Spot a monster you fancy? Scout it! Win it over and it'll fight by your side.
So no game systems so far?
That's
Nothing.
not all.
It'd be cool if they had Game Boy
Synthesize two
Advance.
monsters to create more powerful allies.
Nintendo DS up here.
Now, take on the most fearsome of foes with a team that's uniquely your
NES
own.
I guess they just want those to be random update switches.
Adventure is calling, and it's
They
monstrously
gave us
fun.
that DK thing, but
Dragon Quest Monsters, the Withered World.
okay, December.
Huh. About time you got here.
Something is coming out in December then. Is this Zelda? What is this? Dustbloods? No, it's too early for Zelda. This is Dustbloods.
Upon the ancient blood sovereign's honor. We are monsters, each vying for blood.
Ah, you're finally here. Worthy spirit.
Closed network test. Summer 2026. Okay. So, you know, from June until throughout August, I guess.
How was that? Next, we have more news about an upcoming treasure hunting game.
Treasure hunting game?
Hey everyone, here's some fresh news about Splatoon Raiders, a new single-player focused adventure.
They are showing Splatoon
Check out
at
this
least.
neat little place, the hideout ship out on the water. There's Deep Cut, a trio of swashbuckling musicians. And this scrappy individual? That's you. Let's call this handy youth the Mechanic.
The Mechanic.
The four of them are using the hideout ship as their hub, hunting for treasure across these landmasses, the Spiralite Islands. All right, time for a quick dive. Looks like the treasure they're after is at the base of those lights. But there's a bunch of aggressive creatures called salmonids in the way. And when you get too close, they'll attack immediately. The salmonids aren't pushovers either, so you shouldn't go it alone. That's where this comes in, the Exploration Bot. A member of Deep Cut pilots it during your treasure hunts and attacks automatically. Launches you in the air for extra height. And even gets out of the bot to unleash special moves like this. You'll also get support in the form of gadgets. There's one that continuously fires ink after it's placed. Another that slices through enemies. another that spins ink around you, and more. And the best part, you can use them together. It'd be nice if that made things easier, though. So to recap, do not underestimate the Salmonids. Yikes, this is tougher than it looks. But the Salmonids aren't the only powerful ones around here. Through battles, you, the mechanic, will also get stronger by leveling up. And you can customize all sorts of upgrades to fit your playstyle. Oh, looks like time's up. There are even more details to cover in the upcoming Splatoon Raiders Direct, airing on June 30th. And in the smart device app Nintendo Today, see the story events leading up to Splatoon Raiders with daily comics ahead of launch. Plus, in collaboration with this game, there's going to be a special Splatfest in Splatoon 3. The theme looks like it's about Splatoon Raiders. Details will be announced here. Look out for more info in the future. Don't forget to check this out too. See ya!
Okay, so that's 10:45.
So what did you think? Splatoon Raiders is just around the corner. We'll also be releasing new Joy-Con 2 controllers inspired by Deep Cut. We hope you're looking forward to it. Let's see some more headlines.
Makes you wonder what they're doing at this treehouse thing. I haven't committed to live streaming this treehouse. Because honestly, I'm like, who wants to watch? Ooh, Delta Room. Who wants to watch other people play games that you can't play yet? That might be how somebody else feels when else can play games that they haven't bought yet. So, shrug. Now I went ahead and paid for the whole thing, right? Chapter 5 launching June 24 as a free update to Delta.
Awaken your power.
That's a clap for that. And that looks like
Heed me, O kingless.
Free Fantasio.
Whosoever hath truly earned the great
finally here, it's real. Y'all doubted me.
To throne and crown
I
my
was
right
pulling
of
that out of
kings.
nowhere. There it is.
This is the United Kingdom of Uchronia, inhabited by 8 tribes. The next king shall be decided by the will of the people. By decree of the king, as his face floats in the sky, the tournament for the throne begins.
Why did it take so long?
As
This
the
should've
realm
came out
grapples with its first
last
ever
year.
election, those vying for the throne put their plans into action. As one of the throne's candidates, you'll travel across the kingdom, forging bonds with compelling characters along the way. Various enemies stand in your path.
This battle's ours.
There are monsters roaming this world,
You'll feel this one!
as well as other candidates, and strange beasts known as humans. Control your destiny and change the world in Metaphor ReFantasio, launching on the
November.
Nintendo
Okay,
Switch 2
that's-
system, November 12th.
Finally. I don't know if I'm going to buy it again, but at least
Create,
it's there.
explore, survive.
Now we're getting into the closing.
A dedicated
Games here.
Nintendo Switch 2 version of Minecraft is on the way. Dig into your Minecraft adventure on Nintendo Switch 2 with support for vibrant visuals. And embark on a journey across
So
a
Metaphor
world
is
with
coming out
enhanced lighting
around
and
the
shadow
time
effects.
that Grand Theft Auto 6 is dropping.
Plus, Nintendo Switch worlds can be carried over, so you can pick up right where you left off. What will you create next? Minecraft launches on Nintendo Switch 2 this year.
It just says this year. Metal Gear? So one more scissor reel and I'll close what I presume to be Zelda. If it's not, this is going to be a massive fail. Now, we all think it's going to be Zelda, right? You could say no. I don't know where you got that from. We're holding that I mean, I wouldn't be disappointed if they showed off the 3D Mario. So far, this is getting like a... It's still getting like a C+ without Zelda. It could be a B with Zelda, but it's a C+ so far. That Final Fantasy game, that looks good. The Xenoblade, I was impressed with all of 3 of those coming out and the 4th one. Right? And then Stellar Blade. That's really what I'm hyped for. Deltarune is fine. And then Pokopia. So if I count, yeah, that's a good 5-6 things that I've been doing. 50-minute presentation, one game every 10 minutes. That could be interesting, but no way to really tell. Oh, that's 14 online? Okay. And I'm more hyped for Stellar Blade because I don't have it.
The battle of light and darkness approaches.
This is a Kingdom Hearts, it is.
Filled with memorable adventures, 3 collections of Kingdom Hearts games are coming to Nintendo Switch 2. Traverse through iconic Disney and Pixar worlds. Befriend all sorts of magical allies.
Like if you bought that
and battle enemies in action RPG combat. Relive these stories or experience them for the first time alongside Sora and his friends as they fight the darkness. If you have the cloud versions on Nintendo Switch, you can transfer your existing save data to these Nintendo Switch 2 games. These 3 collections launch on Nintendo Switch 2 October 8th. A bundle with all 3 compilations, Kingdom Hearts Collection 1 through 3, also launches October 8th.
Okay, that's not
Additionally, a free demo of Kingdom Hearts 3 plus Remind will be available later today on Nintendo eShop.
Okay. That's cool. And now here's gotta be Zelda.
この世界の構造はとても複雑で、私たちが定義する光と闇を具現化したものは存在しなかった。でもそれを定義するものがこの世界に来たことで、この世界にも私たちの定義する闇が現れた。
Kingdom Hearts 4? They're showing it here and not at a PlayStation thing? Now some footage leaked last year that I thought was Kingdom Hearts 4. The animation looks like it. They had an adult or a teenage looking Sora. This looks similar to it. Alright, so now that moves it from a C+ to instantly a B+. So Zelda would give this presentation today. For me. Available at launch on Nintendo. Okay, so they're just telling us it's coming out on the other systems.
How was that? Next is our last announcement.
Last announcement. It's gotta be Zelda.
Please take a look.
Better be Zelda, dude. Don't play with me. Iwata would never play with me like that. It is!
Long ago, there was a land called Hyrule, created by beings of supreme divinity. At the very edge of this kingdom, there lay a small forest.
The music even sounds like Ocarina of Time.
Within it, an ancient solitary tree quietly watched over the inhabitants of the forest. These forest dwellers were called the Kokiri. Each had a fairy companion, and they lived out their innocent lives in these woods. However, there was one particular boy who did not have a fairy.
The graphics look good on this. Okay, so it's finally real. It's finally confirmed. I mean, it was always real, but Nintendo doesn't have to be secret about it. Now it just says 2026. So they're not showing any footage or anything.
The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time will be reborn on Nintendo Switch 2. More details will be announced in the future, so please look forward to them.
Whack!
That's all for today's Nintendo Direct. Earlier this year, Devon-san was appointed as the new president of Nintendo of America. We'd like to conclude this presentation with a few words from Devon-san.
How about you open it
Thank
with
you
a
for
few words
watching.
from Devon-san and show a little gameplay for a game that's coming out 2026.
Thank you, Koizumi-san. Hi, everyone. I'm Devon Pritchard, and after 20 years at Nintendo, one of my favorite things about gaming is still that moment I get to try something new. I watch the trailers, I hear about a game, but the moment I pick up a controller, that's when it all comes together. And for me, that's what games have always been about. Those little moments that surprise me and allow me to immerse myself in different worlds. You can read about a game, you can watch a trailer, but nothing beats seeing it for yourself.
True.
And that's a big part of what Nintendo Treehouse Live is about. Getting a closer look, hearing from the teams, and spending more time with the games themselves. So let's get to it. We've got a new Nintendo Treehouse Live ready to go, with a few games I hope you find interesting. And if you enjoyed Splatoon Raiders in today's Nintendo Direct, this July at San Diego Comic-Con, we'll have the game playable on the show floor. Because at the end of the day, I think the best way to understand a game is to pick up the controller and play.
Again, Splatoon, not really my
Thanks
thing.
for watching. I'm really looking forward to sharing more of what I love about games and bringing those experiences to all of you.
Hopefully they're not
And now
playing
it's time for
Splatoon
Treehouse Live.
on the Treehouse Live, but it sounds
Over to
like
you,
it.
team.
Sounds like that's what they're doing. Alright, we'll keep streaming a little bit of this. Can't promise that I'll stream the entire Treehouse thing.
Hi everyone, welcome to Nintendo Treehouse Live. My name is Teresa and I'm joined here by Gab, Dan, and Rob. We're here to talk about Star Fox, coming out June 25th.
Okay.
It is a cinematic shooter. We're gonna
So, no,
focus
we're
on
not
the
gonna
single
stream
player
any
game.
of this.
And then we'll go into
they're
the
clearly gonna show
multiplayer
games
in
that
a later
they've
segment.
already-
But Dan, why don't you take us away?
Yeah, we're going to start right out here
Yeah,
in this
comment.
new cinema scene, right on the Star Fox Bridge, Bridge of the Great Fox, which is the base for the Star Fox team. The team is just coming out of their VR training session, which is part of the tutorial. And here's we get a little introduction to some of the characters. Falco is their ace pilot, Slippy's the engineer, science expert, Peppy's their veteran uncle who gives them advice, and then Fox McCloud is the leader of the team. And
So that's
what
80s
has
baby
happened
gamer,
during their training
his
session is they're
reaction.
getting a call from
Watch
General
him.
Pepper, who's the
We're
head of
talking
the
about
Cornelia
some of the
Defense
stuff
Force,
here.
and he wants to hire this mercenary team to help them in a fairly desperate situation, which we'll see as we answer this call. I think we're going to go straight into the campaign here, and when you start the campaign, you're going to be able to select between the normal difficulty mode. You can also unlock the expert difficulty mode, which we'll talk about in more detail later. You unlock that by getting medals in various missions, but we're going to start with normal because that's what most people are familiar with. And you can also, before each mission, select single player, co-op or local, or co-op game share, which we'll do more about co-op later.
So those are his views. We might talk
Straight
about
into
that
single
in a-
player. And this is another kind of
Another,
cinema scene where you can see the cinematic storytelling.
Another video.
And as you mentioned, these cutscenes are new, so they expand upon what we already know about the franchise, or like the game this is based off
Seem
of.
a little on edge.
they do a really good
I have no
job
idea how long the
showcasing
treehouse
each member's unique personalities.
Yeah, the details on the characters just really bring them to life with their Falco's goofing off in the background. Their
Training.
various
Not
uniforms
goofing
are
off.
different. The backgrounds in these different scenes are also have a lot of detail that I think will reward keen observation. And even players who are really familiar with the franchise, I think, will maybe spot some details that might be kind of interesting.
Save Corneria. Liberate the like a watering can.
Well, you know, we gotta have some decorations here. But yeah, General Pepper here is pretty desperate. He's hiring the Star Fox team to help out on Corneria, which is under attack by the forces of Andross, who is rampaged through the system, and the Star Fox team has to liberate the Lylat system. Here, the R-Wing fighters are going to launch out of the Great Fox and head down to Corneria, where we'll again see some more details that bring the characters to life. Right after this quick classic title screen here.
It really.
Now they said something about a
kind of
demo.
like a cinematic experience.
And that nostalgic
I am going
music too.
to
Like the music's so good.
The music.
click off of what these guys are
Right
doing
here
real
definitely
quick
gives like sci-fi.
and check
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
actual store. So let's get off of that.
11 a.m. 11 a.m.
Yep, it's 11. So let's actually go to the Switch store here, and let's listen to what 80s Baby Gamer has to say.
All being released on Switch 2. I could get behind that. I mean, it's an old game. It's not even like a remaster or nothing, but just a port to the Switch 2, like a collector's edition. I mean, like a bundle rather than each game individually. I can get behind that. I never played any of the Xenoblade games. I wish they would release that as like a compilation rather than individual remasters.